Today on Between the Lines, the link between our mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being, and how to turn those connections into positive effects for business and for life, with John Murphy. Welcome, I'm Barry Kibrick. John is a critically acclaimed leadership coach and business advisor, and founder of Venture Management Consultants. He specializes in creating and inspiring high-performance work cultures. Now with his book, Zentrepreneur, John takes the lessons he instills in business leaders and shows us how to translate them in order to create a culture of innovation within ourselves.
I'm a writer today because I was a reader when I was 11 years old, and it was...
You do not need to prove your state of happiness to anybody.
Most of these speeches were as much as a month in preparation.
Characters, the heroes in this book, are seekers of truth in a story that involves a lot of
You
corruption.
don't get a chance to really talk about what's real, and it's the perfect thing.
John, welcome to the show. It is a pleasure to have you on Between the Lines.
Thank you, Barry. Glad to be here.
You know, I can't think of a better way to start a conversation than the physical way you start your day. I begin, your words, every day with gratitude. No quicker way to transcend the ego thought system than with appreciation and thanks.
I do. That's a fact. And I then go into a whole 20-minute meditation on it, because when we get to gratitude and we are truly thankful, and there's so many things we can be thankful of that we sometimes forget, we actually get into a frequency, an energy that's very powerful.
You know, what's even more powerful is when you continue it and you say, I give thanks for my problems and challenges. Maybe they are gifts, blessings in disguise. I've always felt that if you can turn a curse, quote, into a blessing, you're 25 steps ahead of the game. And when I read the way that you even are grateful for that, and I'm going to have to level with you, as much as I'm aware of it, it is the hardest thing for me to do.
Well, I think it's hard for everybody to do. You know, the temptation, of course, is to turn sour, turn negative, turn bitter, or be afraid, you know, and get anxious about it. But
in fact, that's exactly what it is. It seems like anxiousness is the first thing that pops up, and I've learned now over years and years to quell it as quickly as possible, but it still is the first thing that pops up.
It really boils down eventually to just our belief system, what we really believe, because we have a tendency to manifest that which we believe at the deepest level. And you know, with the law of attraction, we attract into our lives essentially what we're calling for vibrationally. And if we start to doubt ourselves and we start to think, I'm doomed, I'm gonna get myself into trouble, guess what finds us? Trouble.
But you know something? It's funny, I have in my notes that the law of attraction, I actually wanted to get into that with you a little bit later, but you brought it up, so we'll get into it right now. And you, in fact, what I liked about it was you made a specific note about it. And because I have a little trouble, by the way, you're a psychiatrist, because I'm telling you all my troubles now. I have trouble with the law of attraction because it always seems to me like it was a quick fix, and you specifically redefine it. And I need to hear that redefinition to take away my negative thought of it.
Well, you know, a lot of people think of it, and it's been, frankly, it's been kind of butchered in terms of its interpretation. And a lot of people think if all I have to do is want something, and I'm going to get it.
That's exactly right. That's how it's played out in my mind. But you noticed that's not the way it is.
Sure. Well, you have to understand the difference between the will, the conscious mind, and the subconscious mind. They're two very, very different things. And so if I consciously want something, and I subconsciously don't believe I'll ever get it, guess what wins? The subconscious mind is a million times more powerful than the conscious mind. I don't know if you've ever seen any of Dr. Bruce Lipton's work. It's quite powerful. But the subconscious mind could process like 40 million bits of data per second. The conscious mind only 40 bits per second. 40 to 40 million. So what that plays out in the world as is, if subconsciously I think I'm doomed. Oh my, I was born on Friday the 13th. Oh, you know, I have this hard luck over and over again. If anything could go wrong, it will at the worst possible moment. You know, and if I subconsciously believe that, and I think for many, many years I did, and I kept putting myself in danger and in learning the hard way. If I subconsciously believe that, but then consciously I'm looking for something different, it doesn't work. So what we have to learn to do is find out what's going on subconsciously in our mind and hit the delete button. So from early in life, from ages 0 to 6, we're in a theta frequency, a very downloadable frequency. And so we're getting downloaded from our parents, our friends, the environment itself, our falls, our successes, everything. And these are just going deep into the subconscious mind, and then we're replaying those the rest of our lives. So what we have to do as adults, or at any age for that matter, is uncover these subconscious programs, and if they aren't working for us, delete them.
And there is, how's the term? It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy.
That's right. Yeah, well, conceptually it sounds simple, but then then the practical questions come up. How do I know what I'm thinking subconsciously if it's subconscious?
Exactly.
It's not conscious. So it's like, well, that's a great question. There are some quick techniques you can get there. Number one, you start looking at your tendencies. You start looking at your habits. Do I have a habit of becoming impatient when I'm sitting in traffic? Do I have a tendency to get annoyed by certain things or certain people? What are my programs, what are my replays telling me? So, you know, the true law of attraction is really about we reap what we sow. The challenge is that we're sowing things all the time, every day, that we're not aware we're sowing. Now, the way to get there is to start looking at what are we reaping. You know, I'm in debt, or I'm unhappy in a relationship, or I never seem to have enough time to do what I really want to do. I don't feel good about my body. Whatever people think, all right, and experience. We have to go upstream into the inputs to understand the outputs, and it's at that point that that's where the real action is.
Well, you know, the thing about it, in fact, the name of the book is Zentrepreneur, because it is geared to success in business, and yet there's no separating business from life, and that is the truth, and that's when it really works. So and what you say is that, in fact, in business and in our lives and in our minds, we have these wonderful ideas, yet sometimes it is fear and doubt, the primal things that we must overcome, and that goes back into the cellular level, into the subconscious, into that soulful stream.
Oh yeah, yeah. So those are critical inputs. If my inputs day after day after day are fear, are doubt, disbelief, agitation. If I wake up in the morning and I'm agitated before I even have breakfast because of something on the news, or some project I'm working on at work, or something somebody said to me a week ago or yesterday, here's the thing about the conscious mind: it's rarely in the present. The subconscious mind is always in the present. It can't be anywhere else because it's your autopilot. So you're running on your subconscious mind over 90%, 95% of the day. Your subconscious mind's running your life. Your conscious mind, what's it doing? It's thinking about what happened yesterday or what you got to do tomorrow. It's jumping, which is why people struggle with meditation. What's meditation really all about? Getting present. Getting present with what? Your conscious mind. So there's some simple techniques to do that, but people struggle with it. The average person doesn't stay in the present for more than 11 seconds.
I'm way below average. I'm serious. I always joke. I say I'm in the present for a second. Now I'm out of it. Now I'm in it. Now I'm out of it.
So people say, "Oh, you want to meditate? Okay, start focusing on your breathing." So you start focusing on your breathing. The next thing your mind is doing is it's thinking about scuba diving, or it's thinking about snorkeling, or it's thinking about something related to breathing. That's not. Well, you're not snorkeling right now, are you? I mean, but it's getting back to the present, and and getting in the zone, so to speak. Now, think about it this way too, Barry. If you're an athlete, you step up to the the free throw line. If you're the Lakers or whatever your favorite team is, or you're a golfer about ready to hit the ball, and your mind starts wandering. All right, that's not a good thing. You need to be focused. You need to be in the moment, in the present. And so I learned a lot growing up as an athlete as well. You gotta train your mind to pay attention to now, to really get into that peak zone, okay, and not have confusion and scatter-mindedness, if you will. Multitasking, what a lot of people call multitasking, can actually turn around and bite you.
Well, you use the term flow a lot in the book, in fact, and I think that's part of it, if I'm correct. It's that ability to almost harness the power, and you use a nice term with it, not only harness that, but with grace. There's a certain element of poise, a certain element of a release, and that allows that flow, if you're able to do that, to come into your life, and then you move with it.
Yeah. Well, flow applies to so many things. Flow applies to creativity, where ideas flow. Flow applies to prosperity, cash flow.
Yeah.
In business, cash flow is it's blood. You're not going to survive long in business without cash flow.
In fact, you even say that in business, you say it's creativity over capital, but if you're not careful with your money, and you use the word lean, lean is the way to go in that regard.
Yeah, and what I find in business after business after business is that we're not lean. We're terribly out of shape. We're terribly obese in many ways, and we don't even realize it. So we're taking weeks to do something that should take an hour or two, and the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And then, who experiences that most? Well, the customers, because the service levels might be low. The associates and the people, the employees, they suffer because they know it's not ideal, but there's not much they can do about it because they're up against this system, these policies, these politics in some cases. We see it in government, we see it everywhere. So my job as a business consultant is to go in and teach organizations and leaders how to get things out of the way, starting with themselves. That's why the subtitle of the book is Get Out of the Way and Lead. We get in our own way, and we do it all the time.
And yet, as you said, when we get out of our way, that's when the flow comes in. That's when the good ideas percolate. Sure. But even then, there's a risk. Good ideas, they are not without risk.
Well, that's right, and that's why we have to balance practicality with creativity and vision, if you will. It's like the left brain and the right brain working together. So the way I designed this book, is with each chapter. Chapter 1 is what if. That's the title of chapter 1. So what if I try this idea? What if I start a show? What if I write a book? What if I start a company? What if I change the way I'm doing certain things, whatever it might be? And the thing about the what if is we start to realize there's endless possibilities around us all the time. There's no shortage of opportunity. Then we go into some practical questions. Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, why should I do it? And Chapter 3 is why not do it. So why, the reasons for it, the why not, the reasons against it. And that keeps us honest, in a sense. It keeps us balanced. If we, and that's the whole Zen part of it. It's balance, it's health, it's well-being, it's poise and grace and flow. If we get out of balance, it's a lot like the human body. If the body gets out of balance, if it gets diseased, we suffer from disease. And so organizations are no different. We get out of balance, and then we just start getting in our own way.
Now, you speak of leadership, and you actually say, because you are talking about balance, and that balance is creativity versus intellect. So many different things we must balance, but you do say that the intellect is critically important for the effective leadership, but we must go deeper. And in fact, you say to the level where people get the chills. That expression really hit home with me, because that then tells me that you're reaching those deep inner soulful chakras, whatever you want to call them. I don't know the right words even, but you're getting the chills because the passion is there. That's also, and not in absence of the intellect, but in conjunction with it.
Well, and I often, in the business world, when I'm teaching, I often say, you know, we have to be intelligent, but we have to be intelligent both from the head and the heart. So the emotional intelligence from the heart is very powerful. And, you know, yes, the intellect from the head is very important as well. But if all we're trying to do is run our businesses on data and on analysis and information at the head level, if you will, and we're not capturing the spirit and the passion and the essence of the business. We've got to have content and we've got to have context so that we know the meaning behind whatever it is we're doing. That's purposeful, it's passionate, and that's where real change takes root.
Change. That was where I was going, so we must be on some sort of flow right here, because I wanted to talk about change, because in almost every book you read, in business or in life help or whatever the case might be, everyone talks about change being the hardest thing to do. They say it's the constant. The one thing that's constant is change, but it's the hardest thing. You, though, give us a little light on the end of that little tunnel there, and you say people are actually designed for change, physically, emotionally, socially, and mentally. I have not heard those words said that way. I believe them, but I've never heard them stated. It's usually change is the hardest thing. If we're designed for it, that tells me that maybe it's hard, but it's not the hardest thing, and it's not something we can't overcome.
No, change is actually easy because we are designed for it. Try not to grow older. Try not to learn something new every day. It'd be a curse to not change, and but we lose sight of that, and we forget that you know what, change it's spiritual. It's our essence. It's our nature, and we're here in human form to have an experience of creativity and expression. That's what really I say. There's a Zentrepreneur in all of us, and it's our spirit seeking expression. It's seeking manifestation of ideas, creative ideas. So, and we all have ideas, all right? But again, a lot of times we get in our own way and we fall into what I often call the yeah buts. There's a whole chapter on but.
That's important, by the way. The but, that's one of the most important chapters. Let's not go over that, because that's what really stifles you. You go, yeah, but you know, it's not gonna be, or yeah, but and that's what you phrase it that way.
That's exactly right. And the yeah buts come from ourselves. And we talk ourselves out of all kinds of things, but they also come from people who love us, our parents. They come from our siblings. They come from our friends. Yeah, but you'll never make any money doing that. Yeah, but there's no future in that. Yeah, but you really need to go back to school and get more education before you try something like that. Yeah, buts are surrounding us all the time, and they can be very discouraging. All right, and the Zentrepreneur doesn't want to be caged. The Zentrepreneur wants to listen and pay attention to the risks involved in any idea, because we have to be risk conscious, right? This isn't about being careless. But like I said, our spirit wants to be free. It wants to be expressive. And when we get in touch with that, that's that chill level. It's like, oh, something just captured my heart. It could be a relationship, and relationships aren't just with people. Relationships are with work. Relationships are with our environment. You know, we have relationships every day with all kinds of things. And when we're in flow, and we're in a harmonious relationship, miracles unfold. It's just the most powerful thing you can imagine.
And the one thing, though, that we absolutely have control over in the randomness of this global universe, which, by the way, from every physicist I had on the show, proclaims it still is the ruling thumb of what life is, its randomness. And the one thing that they also agree upon, that you emphatically state in here, is the Zentrepreneur, even with all of the random things that may occur, two things: do not give up easily, take initiative, and perseverance. Those three things are what really affects the randomness, anything that might be getting in your way. If you've got those three things and you believe them at the cellular, subconscious, soulful level, that's where you will be able to, as you use the word, manifest.
Oh yeah, I love the example of Thomas Edison. You know, as it was reported, many years ago, he's being interviewed about all his failures attempting the light bulb, and you know his response, as it was reported, is I haven't failed yet. I've learned 9,000 ways now that don't work.
I use that line, and it is. Yeah. It's just. It's brilliant because that's really what is happening. You're not failing. You're learning the way not to do it.
Yeah. So there's patience, there's perseverance, there's determination. There's that I'm going to find a way. And he literally lit up the world. Right?
Absolutely. You know, John, you say also, though, and I think this is, I did one of my triple, actually, I'm looking at it, it's a quadruple star, so I know how important this one is. You know, sometimes, I'll use the words exactly, sometimes the very things killing us are the toughest to let go of. We started this with gratefulness and the ability to let go, but we go back now to sometimes the hardest things to let go are those things that are killing us.
Sure. Well, we get attached, you know, and one of the great lessons in Zen is that attachment is one of the deadly sins, if you will, or the kleshas. It's we get attached to all kinds of things, and yet we forget that these things are all temporary. So we get very attached to temporary things. What that does is then we live in fear, consciously and subconsciously, of losing what? That which we've attached to. And we're not even aware that we're going through life disrupting flow, because what flow really requires at the deepest level is faith. Faith. Wow. You have to have faith to flow. And this fear comes from an absence of faith.
John, whenever we get into something that I feel is very worthwhile and heavy like this, I love to give out websites. Will you respond to people that come through your website?
I do.
Okay, good. Then I'm going to give it out because it's a long one, but we'll keep it up there for a bit. It's www.venturemanagementconsultants.com. We'll leave it up there for a second because I want people to be able to explore deeper, and I want them while reading the book, but also being able to communicate. And I want to say these words that you wrote. The real art to the game is in accepting the fact, and this goes back to that randomness, that we can't plan and control everything. And here's the part that I think then gives us the answer. Listen to your soul. It is the one thing about you that is not temporary.
Yeah, that's right. That's our eternal self. And boy, we sure get in the way sometimes because we forget that. And we even think of ourselves as temporary, our bodies, which of course are temporary. And we forget that there's something deeper than that.
You specifically say that our work must be our play. Our passion must be aligned with our purpose. We have a calling, and we know it when we make the connection. We know it when we feel it.
Yeah, and we feel it at that level where it's just it's chilling almost, not in a bad cold way kind of thing, but it's and you can't help but feel gratitude when you feel that. It's like I just feel I'm not alone ever. And I travel a lot. I traveled 51 out of 52 weeks last year, so I'm on the move.
I'm at home all the time. Wait, go. I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's such a different kind of lifestyle. Go. That is just horrible. I got to tell you, you could be in the Zen, you could meditate all you. If I had to travel 51 out of 52 weeks, my head would be somewhere else.
Yeah, but I happen to like it, or I wouldn't do it.
Obviously, that's we go back to it.
And my children are all grown and out of the home, and I'm single, so I can do it, and I love what I do. I meet the greatest people like yourself. I go all over the world. It's amazing to me. I live in awe I really do. I live in awe.
What better place to spend your life but in awe? And John, our time is up, and I'm in awe that you joined us, so thank you. And I want to, though, end with your words. Ask the questions, explore the answers, think rationally, and plan accordingly. Thank you, John, for helping us explore the answers.
Thank you, Barry.
It's my pleasure, and thank you guys for joining us. Now, before John leaves, I'd like to leave you with these few more words from Zentrepreneur. We all experience anxiety, stress, fear, and doubt. We all witness feelings of shame, guilt, grief, anger, control, and regret. We all have attachments and aversions weighing us down. To be wise and free, we have to let go to let flow. I'm Barry Kibrick. Between all our fears and doubt and all our attachments and aversions, there is a way to let go. And when you do, you will become wiser and free. Thank you, John, so much.
Thank you, Barry.
My pleasure.
Closed captioning for Between the Lines with Barry Kibrick is made possible by your generous contributions to KLCS Education Foundation. Thank you for your support. Please visit us at klcs.org/BTL if you would like to contact Barry or watch an episode of our show online. And go to barrykibrickblogs.com to go further between the lines and read Barry's posts.